Over the years, Kickstarter has become the crowdfunding destination. Unfortunately, one of Kickstarter's top priorities is allowing anyone and everyone to seek funding for anything and everything. While this might sound good in theory, in practice it's allowed a lot of, shall we say, unsavory people to launch horrible and offensive campaigns, as well as projects that use stolen assets or even entire games. And that's not to mention the handful of scams that have gotten through Kickstarter's green and black net. On a few rare occasions, Kickstarter HQ will step up and suspend a campaign, a polite term for cancel. Once a campaign is suspended, it's gone for good as per Kickstarter rules. We recently published an article on Clickers.com detailing every video game project that was suspended. In this video, I'd like to run down my 10 favorite campaigns I found while doing research for the article. These are the most offensive, funny, awful, and downright head-scratching campaigns I could find. It's just an excuse for a top 10 video, but I figured I'd qualify it somehow. Number 10. Should I bother with this game? And give me money for drugs. Yes, I'm cheating already, but in my defense, these two campaigns are basically one and the same. Should I Bother With This Game was brought to us by Leroy Jenkins. Yes, that's the level we're dealing with here. Who wants $1,000 for who knows? There's a long rambling post on here, but I'm afraid to read it lest I lose my mind. Give Me Money for Drugs, meanwhile, is brought to us by iBlock Doors. Again, this is what we're dealing with here. This campaign is a little more, how shall I put this, involved than Should I Bother. They're both ultimately the same thing, though. Random dudes setting up fake Kickstarter campaigns on the real Kickstarter in either a misguided attempt at making a point, or just for the sake of trolling. For example, iBlock Doors starts off by saying he needs equipment to start a YouTube channel. Fine, still not at all what Kickstarter is for, but at least there's some kind of logic there, even if he says he's too stupid to pirate any software. Then he goes on a bit of a tangent.
Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, I'll tell you. That's all bullshit, see? I just want mad cash so I can blow Charlie Sheen levels of coke off a stripper's tits, while simultaneously giving head from another. Oh, I also need vast amounts of cash to see the doctor from all the STDs I'm going to be getting, and the creams and prescription drugs needed to treat them.
Leroy Jenkins, on the other hand, is trying to make a point about how Steam has too many people trying to con you out of your money with half-finished games. And he's right, Steam is full of complete crap and needs quality control. But doing the exact same thing on Kickstarter helps... how, exactly? Number 9. New Era the Legend. New Era the Legend is what happens when someone who has no idea what they're doing steals an entire game and throws it on Kickstarter. Since we made this so far by ourselves, it'll be great if we know that some people are out there watching us, supporting us. Sounds an awful lot like someone desperately trying to make it sound like they've done any work. It's funny Ryan Meng, the creator of this campaign, put so much effort into trying to convince us, seeing as how he opens the page saying, I know that most people, like myself, don't like to read that much stuff. It's a game, it's supposed to be fun, so I'll do my best to try to make this easy as possible. The piece de resistance on this Kickstarter, though, are the multitude of stolen assets. There are several pictures on the main page, as well as a trailer that show what Meng claims is New Era. In reality, a simple reverse image search that actually proved to be incredibly difficult thanks to a language barrier proved the images are actually from a Chinese-developed game by Tencent called The Royal Dragon, or Dragon in the Day. I can't really tell, Google Translate is telling me both. Either way, these are clearly stolen assets from an entirely different, already made game that Meng has absolutely nothing to do with. Number 8. Arkham Knight for Steam. There isn't much to say about this one. When I first saw it, I thought it was going to be some guy sarcastically raising money to give to Rocksteady to make a better Arkham Knight port for Steam. But then it turned out he's just asking for you to give him money so he can buy the game for himself. Here's the rub. I really want this game for Steam, but I'm broke. My cousin put $35 in my Steam wallet, he owed me, to buy the game, but I owed somebody, so I have $22.54 left in my account. Truly a harrowing tale of love, loss, betrayal, and sadness. All Mr. Bree's drooling needs now is a dead goldfish plot, and he's on his way to becoming his own superhero. Number 7. Help us play Mario Party on the GameCube. F. Scott Fitzgerald once said that using an exclamation mark is like laughing at your own joke. That's what the internet tells me anyway, so I believe it. That's basically what's going on with Help Us Play Mario Party on the GameCube exclamation mark. A 250-word attempt at telling a joke while trying to stifle their own giggles. This is Alex. See how contemplative and longing he is? He just wants to have some fun with his bros. And this is Aaron. He's so bummed about not being able to play Mario Party that he's literally expressionless. And here's Seth. He's so bored that he can't play Mario Party. Just think of all the fun he could be having. Look how desperately they're trying to be funny. They're worse than me! Exclamation mark. Maybe Mr. Seth Penn should stick to his bass playing, which he's quite keen on advertising in his bio. Number 6. Bring back BC. BC was a game in development by Lionhead Studios, back when people actually liked the studio. The game was eventually cancelled because it was too ambitious for the current technology. Hard to believe, I know. It was supposed to be a big open-world dinosaur game where you could scavenge for food, hunt dinosaurs, adopt a pet dinosaur, drive a car using your feet, and dig rocks at Slate Rock and Gravel Company. Bring Back BC is someone trying to start a petition by using money instead of signatures. In that sense, you'd expect the campaign to be run by Donald Trump, but instead it's Marcus Bates, a normal guy that is passionate about gaming, among other things. In what is quickly becoming a trend on this list, the Kickstarter project is nothing more than a rambling wall of text detailing the history of the game, why it should come back, and what the game would have played like. The goal of the project was to raise enough money in order to raise enough eyebrows, particularly eyebrows at Lionhead Studios and Microsoft, so that they can see there is demand for this awesome, ambitious game to be finished. The only risk in the Risks and Challenges section states, even getting Lionhead Studios' attention is a challenge, but a challenge I won't have to overcome alone. That's all there is to it. No mention of what the money will be used for, why money has to be raised at all, and nothing about why the campaign needs $300,000, which is pocket change next to how much most AAA games cost. Listen to me taking this Kickstarter seriously, gosh. Lionhead doesn't even exist anymore. Number 5. Help me explore Fallout 4 versus real Boston, Massachusetts. The point of this project is to raise money so the guy in charge, Ben Wilson, can explore the differences between the real-life Boston and the one depicted in the terrible game Fallout 4. I have to admit, I really like the idea. I could see this being a photo book, or better yet a video or video series, kinda like a travelogue, taking us through the streets of Boston and comparing them to what we see in the game, talking to locals and seeing what they think about the real city, their positions of the game city. Maybe give us some comparisons to the famous Boston accent. That was terrible. But no, that's not what this campaign is. The title is just a disguise for the real intentions of the article. Mr. Wilson actually just wants us to buy him a new computer so he can play Fallout 4. Outside the title and the throwaway, I'm on Kickstarter to fund my video line, there's no mention of any actual project. No breakdown of what the money is for, what equipment will be needed. Hell, he doesn't even mention anything about video equipment. He doesn't even bother listing any risks, he just says he's going to make a video showing him upgrading his computer. This one hurts the most because it's the only campaign on this list that actually had a decent idea behind it. Number 4. Plane Simulator 2001. I know. Any attention I give this particular campaign will only give the creator exactly what he wants, but this is what happens when quality assurance is but a dream in a madman's mind. We are looking to make... I can't do the funny voices on this one. We are looking to make a Plane Simulator 2001 game where you can experience just what it's like to fly a plane in 2001. The game is planned for release in September 2014. The £5 tier allows you to see gameplay before anyone else. The £300 tier allows you to choose your own explosion animation. £500 and the developer will take you to Pizza Hut, how nice. The £1,000 tier will have the developer taking you out to eat at the Ritz if you're in the UK, or they'll pay for a meal for you if you're in the US. I think I'll go for a box of nails. Number 3. Bring your mobile game to life for £1. Bringing your mobile game to life for £1 might be the most obvious scam on the list, at least in terms of projects that were pretending to be legitimate. The campaign is essentially a blind pot for people to throw their money into. With a funding goal of only £1, it was assured that this campaign was going to succeed no matter what. How can you make a game for only £1? Well, you can't, but that wasn't the point. You see, anyone who backs this campaign can submit an idea for a game to the developers. At the end of the campaign, the developers claimed that they were going to set up a poll that would allow users to vote on the best idea. Whichever idea wins, according to the developer, will be turned into a mobile game. The winner doesn't get any compensation, no credit, no royalties, no nothing. Backing this campaign is literally paying someone to steal your ideas from you. Oh, but it gets better than that. Well, worse, but whatever. The people who started the campaign call themselves Marikai Entertainment Group. I did some digging into these guys, and I found a couple of shocking things. The first is that this company was only formed a couple of months before this Kickstarter went live, and they've never made a game together before, despite their claims. We've been the #1 role-playing game from Jamaica to Argentina, top 10 simulator and strategy games from Slovakia to Colombia, and even appeared in the top overall charts in the UK and US. Not bad, huh? That being said, one of the 3 people who registered the company, William Poole, has made mobile games before. So their claim isn't entirely inaccurate, right? Well, to a certain extent, yes. However, every single game Poole has made, at least every one on the App Store and Google Play, are all rip-offs. Soundscape, Voice of a Free Man, Wolves of Wall Street, The Liar, and Slender Asylum are all near copies of other games, and most of them even have similar names. Voice of a Free Man, for example, is Cards Against Humanity, complete with a black and white contrast thing. The Liar is a Slender Man clone, while Slender Asylum is suspiciously similar to another mobile game called Slender the Asylum, which again is just another Slender Man clone. As you probably guessed, Marikai Entertainment Group has completely vanished after this Kickstarter was suspended. Number 2, Knuckle Club. Knuckle Club was being developed by Maxim Passionin. If you're unfamiliar with Mr. Passionin and his brother Dennis, well, have I got a treat for you. The two originally had another Kickstarter for a game called Confederate Express, which actually succeeded. Unfortunately, the Passionin brothers took the money and ran, having never released or even developed, as far as anyone can tell, the game beyond what they showed on Kickstarter. But this is no ordinary case of a Kickstarter scam. You see, the brothers Passionin were made famous outside the gaming community for their Airbnb squatting. You see, California law, and yes, this is going somewhere, states that if a person has lived in a home for a minimum of 30 days, they're legally squatters and can continue living in that house no matter what the owner says, unless they go through an incredibly long and tedious legal campaign. Anyway, the two Passionins rented a home using the site Airbnb, which is a bed and breakfast website that lets you stay at other people's homes. And as you could probably have guessed by now, they stayed in this home for more than 30 days, and they refused to leave when their official stay was over. The story was picked up by several news outlets outside the world of gaming, making these two infamous for more than just their Kickstarter scam. As for Knuckle Club, the entire page is a big fat lie. As far as I can tell, the assets that they show of the game are real, stuff they made on their own. But what isn't real is the staff listing towards the end. Kilobyte, as the brothers call themselves here, is credited as being made up of several people. Stacy Dillon, Mark Wilson, Kate Burke, Max Cooper, and a whole bunch of others that have either never worked for Kilobyte or flat out don't exist. That dog probably isn't real either, and no, the Passion brothers are not listed here. And now, the absolute worst of the worst of the worst suspended Kickstarter campaigns. Number 1. The Black Hound, aka Seymour Butts. It's appropriate that this guy posted a picture of the Joker on top of the page like that, because it's a fairly accurate description of what you'll be like if you dare to read the Kickstarter post in its entirety. If you're too afraid to read the page, and I don't blame you, then basically it's, well, like I said, an angry and immature kid who's clearly mad at the fact that his Kickstarter campaign was failing, so he turned the whole thing into a rambling, nonsensical post about everything you'd expect to find on the internet. There's homophobia, sexism, insults thrown at successful crowdfunding campaigns in the past, memes, talk about how this was a social experiment, insults thrown at people who don't speak English, insults thrown at people who like certain games, and something about Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, I told you this was weird. I'd like to give you some context on what set this whole thing off, but it's very difficult to do since this guy scrubbed the page so thoroughly. As far as I can tell, the project was originally named The Black Hound, and was a visual novel of some kind. I found a forum post on the Limasoft forums, the only place I could find any info about the game, by the way, that has some quotes from Before the Scourge. Geikingwing, Gekigwi. This person says of the campaign, it will be a commercial game and will be submitted for Steam Greenlight. No meaningless choices, vague options, or sudden deaths. A protagonist who is not wholly good, nor 90s comic-esque anti-hero. Influence of Tatsusuki and world mythology. Another post gives us a direct quote from the old campaign. It's important to me that every character be a believable human being. And that none of the scenarios are contrived. I need everything to make sense. I'm a huge fan of logical consistency. I love hearing the phrases believable human being and logical consistency from this developer. The next poster says the campaign was accused of being a trolling attempt from the very beginning on 4chan, but it's 4chan, so... We also know the campaign got $86 out of its $15,000 goal, so it was a bit off, you could say. And according to KickTrack, the campaign launched on July 27, 2013, and was supposed to end August 26. It was suspended on August 13th, which is what led me to believe that the developer got mad no one was backing his game, and went apeshit when he realized it wasn't going to happen. We're going to be doing a full article on this one day in the near future, but that's a quick look at the absolute worst of the worst. I say quick, this video's gone on for about 20 minutes now or so. Those are the 10 worst suspended Kickstarter campaigns I've encountered. If you want to read the article for yourself, then grab a nice drink and cozy up to the fire, because it's a long one. Over 10,000 words, as a matter of fact. Who would have thought not having any form of quality control would result in so many bad campaigns? If you'd like to see a good crowdfunding campaign, and yes, I'm going there, be sure to drop by Click's Patreon page. If you think you've seen worse Kickstarters, be sure to let us know in the comments below, and as always, I've been your host, Josh Griffiths. That's the first time in one of these videos I've said my name.